Hello, everybody. Welcome to Module 8. So what I'm going to do today is explain everything for the module and your project, because you are just about done with your final project for the class. And so this week in this module, you'll be completing your rough draft. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to log into the class like we always do. We're going to go over everything that you'll be doing this week. And so we're going to go over our AIM section first. So what is it that we're trying to learn here? And so this week we want to compare evaluation models. So you're going to be looking at those models, apply a selected evaluation framework to a real world curriculum. We want you to integrate sources to justify your evaluation decisions, and then offer constructive feedback to a peer. You'll be doing that this week. So those are our learning objectives. You have one chapter to read this week, and then there's also an article. The chapter is you're going to be reading from Ornstein and Hunchkins, chapter 9, which is curriculum evaluation. I also have an article that is an example of how an evaluation tool was used. This was a responsiveness of Bachelor of Elementary Education curriculum, and this was an evaluation that was done. And I put this on there for you to read because I want you to remember that when you do your dissertation, this could be a study that you could do where you research curriculum. So in your textbook today, that chapter 9, there's quite a bit there with chapter 9. It's not a whole lot I feel like I need to go over with you. I do want you to read the different models. Looking at it now, it talks a lot about a scientific approach to curriculum and instruction, a modern versus a postmodern. And so those are things that you can use as talking points and so forth when you write your paper. And don't forget that at the end of the chapter, there's a great reference list. And so that may be something that you can use as you do your plan, write your final paper. So let's go on to your assignment today. So today will be, you're going to be your draft. And so you have a curriculum evaluation draft that will be due. And this is worth 40 points. And so this is just the draft. The real thing is going to be turned in week 8. So you will describe the curriculum being evaluated, which you already did this week. So that's done. So you can see this is a scaffolded project. We don't want to do everything at the end. We want to model good practices and scaffold our instruction. So you've already done that. Apply an evaluation tool, choose a recognized framework, justify that, which you guys started that already. So see, part of the paper is already done. So the big part that you need to work on is you use one of the rubrics that I provided, or you can use another rubric that you have, or you can create a rubric. Explain the rubric, explain why you used it, explain how it aligns with your framework, and then you're going to evaluate the curriculum or program based on that rubric, analyze the results, explain it. Did you answer all the questions that you said that you would? Of course, you need to integrate scholarly research, connect your framework and methodology, and of course, we want this to be a doctoral level writing. And so this is a draft of your paper. So again, the whole point of this is for you as an educational leader to be able to look at a curriculum and evaluate it. Does it measure what it's supposed to measure? That's your first assignment. Now, this is where it's a little bit different because usually your major assignment is due on Tuesday. This week, this draft, remember it's a draft, is due on Saturday. The reason it's due on Saturday is on Sunday, I'm going to partner you up with another person, and I will email you your partner's draft. And so everyone will be assigned a partner. If you're doing something similar, like I have a couple people that are looking more at classical education, I might partner you. If I have a couple that are looking more at a Tyler model, I might partner you. So it's due on Saturday. The draft is due Saturday. If you don't give me the draft, then you won't be able to do the next part of the assignment, which is due on Tuesday. You will read your assigned partner's draft, and then you will evaluate it using the rubric that I have posted for the final project, and that's all here. So you will evaluate it. Did they describe the curriculum? Did they use an evaluation framework? Did they analyze? Did they have an analysis of data? Did they analyze it using that rubrics? Did they have an integration of research and theory? So you're going to use this tool to evaluate them. So then you're going to write just a 1 to 2 page paper. It'll probably be a 2-page paper in which you describe their evaluation focus, identify 2 areas of strengths, be very specific, and offer 2 actionable suggestions to strengthen their final paper. So for that, you will include 2 things. You'll include the write-up, and it doesn't have to be an APA. It's just a 500 to 600 page reflection, and you will include that in the rubric. You will email your partner your information. You will email them the rubric and your reflection, your write-up, and then you will post it on MyFire. So you will get graded on your feedback to your partner, and then you will also get graded on this portion of your paper. So your rough draft will be due. So, week 8, you guys will be cooking with gas because we've just kind of worked on this little by little. So this is the week that I told you that it's when you're working on this, it'll be fall break. If you don't, and all my kids are coming home, they'll be here Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then they go home Sunday. So I'm making this video early so I can post it, and then I'll be back online on Sunday after all my kids go home. And so if you email me and you don't get a hold of me, that's why. I just want to be able to spend some quality time with them while they're home. So that's assignment for week 7. Now I wanted to talk to you about a couple of examples of curriculum, and it's part of my job has been to before I came here at Southeastern, I was actually a curriculum director, and so I wanted to show you some things that I've done with curriculum and instruction, just to show you how important it is to evaluate curriculum. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some scores, and I know you guys won't even know these schools, so that's fine. I'm just going to go up so you can't see the school names. Okay, there we go. So when I became a curriculum director, one of the first things I did is I was in charge of about 9 different schools. So I looked at all these schools, and I was a curriculum director for science and social studies. I broke up, we at the time took a test called the Terra Nova. It's pretty outdated now, but at the time that's what we took. And I wrote down the scores that each school by grade level received on these different areas. And so I could see that our lowest score, and you guys can see this right now in yellow, where we got in the 40s, was earth and space. So I began to think, okay, why are we and it was consistent, earth and space. We were getting very low. And also personal and social perspectives. That wasn't quite as low, but that was, but definitely earth and space. So that made me wonder, do we have some gaps in our curriculum? How can I supplement our current curriculum? So you usually start with, in my case, I started with the data. Now I want to show you something else. I then developed, when I first got hired, the school district was using something, a science curriculum called EIE kits. Sorry, I almost forgot. That's engineering is elementary. So when I got there, I said, okay, we have all these kits, and they were literally everywhere. There were these big STEM kits that had all the materials and everything. And I said, where is the alignment to show how each kit aligns with the grade level standards? And I was told, we do not have that alignment. Now, I'm not just talking about for one school, I'm talking about for all of the Department of Defense school system. They did not have an alignment. So you're talking millions of dollars that were spent on these kits, and there was no alignment. So, as a curriculum director, I thought, well, I need to do an alignment. And so, what I did was I took each of the kits that we had and I aligned it with the science standards. So, I hope you can see this. And that meant I had to read every single book and align it. So I could see they had this kit called The Best of Bugs, where the students had to design these pollinators. And I could see that aligned with first grade. A work in progress. This was something with Play-Doh that aligned with second grade. So I went through and saw and said, okay, here's how the kits align with the standards. And then I put it by grade level so we can see now the first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, they knew, okay, if I am a third grade teacher, I need to be doing this one on solar ovens, on replicating an artifact, on there was an animal one. So they knew exactly what to do. After I did that, I had noticed there were gaps. So there were some places that we didn't have the EIE kit to address the standard. And so that's when I asked my superintendent, okay, can I buy something to fill those gaps? So I want to, hopefully you can see this. Let me blow it up a little bit more. So here, I'm just going to focus on second grade. So I could see this kit aligned with this standard. We have some standards, but I had this standard about classifying animals, explaining how distinct environments throughout the world support it. No EIE kit aligned with that. So I bought another series called Picture Perfect Science, and I said, you can use this. Then we have EIE kits, and then we have some Picture Perfect Science. Then we have more Picture Perfect Science. So what I did was, and then in some places I even have books. So here I bought some books that the teachers could use that would address those standards. So through this curriculum evaluation process, I was able to see what EIE kits worked, where there were gaps, and then that gave us justification to say, okay, here are the gaps, you need to buy this. And so then the district said, we will let you buy this other product called Picture Perfect Science and other books to fill those gaps. And then I did something that was a little controversial, but it actually worked. So I met with my superintendent and I said, all of these EIE kits that do not align with the curriculum, I don't want you to use. We need to get rid of them. So we actually just disassembled them and used the kits for other things, used the materials for other things. They were going to send us a shipment from the headquarters of all Department of Defense. And I told my superintendent, I said, don't accept it. We don't need it. And we didn't accept it. And he was like, I'm going to trust you on this. And I'm glad he did, because the Kentucky district, which I was a director at the time, had the highest test scores in the Department of Defense for science. Now, the reason was because we aligned, we did a curriculum evaluation process, and then we aligned our resources with those goals and objectives in that curriculum. What happens many times is you will have resources that do not align with your goals. I've seen this happen all the time. I remember once someone had bought hundreds of scientific calculators at elementary schools. And I was like, why would you do that? We don't need scientific calculators. Or another big thing was 3D printers. I could not tell you how many schools had 3D printers that did not align with any standards. It sounded slick, but then no one knew how to operate the 3D printer, and then nobody knew how to use it, and then the cost of buying all the materials to do the 3D printer, no one had that in their budget. So I mention this to say curriculum evaluation is really important if you want to concentrate on student achievement. And what you have to do is you have to first start with your data. You have to look at your data. I'm going to give you one more example. When I was an administrator, the last school before I came here at Southeastern, I was in a primary school, and we continued to look at our research and saw that when we looked at our test scores, our kids were not doing well in foundational reading, specifically phonemic awareness. We looked at our reading program. We saw that there were gaps. There's only 2 schools in all of Department of Defense in the world that are primary schools. And so what happened is the Department of Defense would buy these large quantities of curriculum for the mass. We weren't the mass. We were a primary school, so we were very different. So that's when I decided, okay, I'm going to use another program to address these gaps. And so we started using a reading program, grabbing it over here, called Heggerty. So we used Heggerty, and we use Words Our Way. And both of those helped to fill those gaps. With Heggerty, when we implemented it, we did, first I showed my staff the data. Show them your data, show them where the gaps are, and said, okay, here are some gaps. Let's have a tolerance of truth. Here's where we're doing poorly on. I showed them the data. Second thing, we did training. So all the teachers were trained. Third thing, I had my reading coach go into the classrooms and model the strategy, not just once, 3 or 4 times. Then the fourth thing, the teachers did it, and that reading specialist observed them and gave them feedback. Then they started implementing the new program. That was probably the best implemented program that I've been a part of, because we scaffolded it. We didn't just throw them the curriculum and say, expect them to do it. So I say all this to say, as all of you are getting your doctorate in curriculum and instruction, and this is important that you know how to look at curriculum, you know how to evaluate it. So I hope this process of doing this will help you, because you can then use this information to help with decision making, to help with, I can tell you, when I showed my superintendent the gaps in social studies, and I had it all laid out in that form that I showed you, and then I aligned that with the test scores and say, look at these test scores, and look, they align with these gaps. I can't blame the teachers. They don't have the resources for these gaps. Then he said, okay, you can buy it. We'll let you buy it. And he let me buy it. And then we had great test scores. And it really isn't magic. It is common sense. Are we using resources to match our goals and objectives? So that's it for this week. You have 2 assignments. You're going to do your rough draft, which is due on Saturday, not Tuesday. You will post your draft, and then on Sunday, it might be Sunday afternoon, I will email you your partner's draft. You will evaluate it and write like a 1-page or so reflection, and you will also score it using the rubric. And you will turn in on MyFire the rubric and your reflection, giving them feedback, and then you will also mail your partner that. Okay, have a great week. Thank you very much.